Wave rider, you got one thing on your mind. Breakfast with Bob.
Macho Man! Welcome to day 2, Breakfast with Bob. My name is Bob Babbitt, brought to you by HOKA One Polar. Halo Neuroscience, Velofix, today's plan, Normatec, our championship edition at Four Seasons Resort Hualalai, and Triathlete magazine. Our next guest, two-time Ironman World Champion, one of the true legends of our sport, the only guy to win the Ironman World Championship and a gold medal. Give it up for Mr. Jan Frodeno. He just said he is signing up. He's racing. The hip is fine.
I'm just messing with you all.
Patrick just fell over there. I love that.
I was on the Queen K this morning.
How you feeling?
Yeah, ready. I was ready to have my first coffee for the morning. I actually just successfully completed my first 60 minutes on the bike.
Yeah!
I had 2 punctures before we even got going, and I rode along the Queen K, and I was like, man, this is living. This is so good. And it's perspective, man. Last year I would have lost my shizzle. Yeah. And now I'm like, oh, this is so good. I love it. It's great. And yeah, it's the little things in life.
You can come to the Thank God I'm Not Racing party on Friday night.
Yeah, I'm agnostic, but otherwise I think it's a great idea, actually. So the first part of the slogan doesn't work for me, but the rest is cool.
You get a medal and a hat for not racing. And there's beer and appetizers.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, you're in. So you get on the plane. Going back, last year when we chatted, you had validated Ironman Austria, Oceanside, you flatted. Didn't really have a lot of competition that you raced against last year leading in. This race, we talked about the heat and the win, but really the main thing here is everybody's here. And everybody's frothing at the mouth, and everybody wants to beat the 2-time defending champion. So this year, after you had back issues and had to walk a big chunk of the run, you go to Oceanside, Lionel Sanders, and beat him convincingly. Then Frankfurt, take Patrick down, outrun him. And then probably one of the greatest races of all time, 70.3 South Africa, the World Championships. 106 off the bike. You had Javier Gomez, Alistair Brownlee. It's like the Hall of Fame of triathlon, and then young Ben Canute back there. And coming off of that, did you feel the hip thing, or when did that happen?
Yeah, it was really strange. I mean, it's been an amazing season. Things have really lined up. You know, I had a little scare a few weeks out from Frankfurt where I crashed my bike, which is totally my fault, just going too fast. Got a little unstuck from that. Just with the alignment after the crash didn't quite come together, and I had a little injury, had a little muscle tear in my hamstring. But that came good for Frankfurt, and I was like, this could be coming good. And then South Africa, it was like a last-minute thing. I think I signed up the day before the deadline.
I wondered about that.
Yeah, and I was like, the shape's good, and, it's good to test the nerves, and I feel ready. And somewhere on the way to great, you got to go past very good in terms of shape,
Right.
So I was thinking, well, hopefully shape's pretty good. Should be something to look out for. And then it was almost like too smooth. You always have something at an event. There's always like the night before, you remember you forgot your gels, or I don't know. I'm sure it happens to everybody that, at least, well, for me, I'm pretty unorganized, and we, tend to do things last minute. But nothing of the sort. You just went in, got there very late. Everything was super smooth. Start, finish, race. Had a great time after. Even made it to the airport on time the next day, which is super unlikely for me. And then I got on the plane. Plane was delayed by 5 hours.
Oh.
Sitting there, and flew over to Sydney, which is where I was going to prepare, and ended up being a 15-hour flight. Got there at about 10 o'clock at night. Checked into a hotel because we missed our connection, and went for a run at about midnight. Through the streets of Sydney, and I was like, oh, no, this isn't good. And it was literally from being 106 kind of shape to being undone in a flight. It was super weird.
That is, when you look at the 21:53, 2:04, 106, those are just epic splits at a World Championship race with Alistair and High. It was almost like old ITU. Must have brought some flashbacks for you with going back to ITU days.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've had my fair share of being dished out second and third places, and I was quite happy to, be on the donating end, so to say.
Right.
And give the boys a good welcome to long distance racing, and show them that we're not just the world hasn't just been waiting for them. Although I secretly have.
We have been waiting, and we're waiting, hopefully. I said to Javier, I said, God, it'd be great to have Alistair here. He says, what, he's not coming this year, is he?
Yeah, that's probably why I'm here, because if all would have gone well this year after last year, I don't know, who knows if I'd have been back next year, but maybe we get to have another Royal Rumble next year. That
would be pretty spectacular. So what is the prognosis in terms of when you can start training again? Have you started to think about where to race, or what's next?
Well, it's a bit of a timely injury because it's in the hip, stress fracture through the hip. So there's always a lot of stress in the hip, which means the bone doesn't get to rest as much as it should. But then bed rest for 6 weeks is also not an option. You do too much damage to the rest of your body. So it's a fine balance that I'm trying to find at the moment. Therefore, you hear some scary cases of 6 months, 7 months. My wife had it, and she was back on, running 30 seconds, walking 30 seconds after 6 weeks.
Right.
But
she's Emma Snowsill.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, a bit of a freak. Probably helps when you weigh half of what I do.
Yes.
And then, just take it from there. But, truly, I've missed the highlight of the year, which is this race. And in terms of that, the season's over. There's nothing to be had, nothing to be gained. And I think, a long break is something you have to also see the positives in. I've been in the sport for 15 years, going pretty hard and chasing my dreams and, racing professionally for 15 years. So a break, I think, is something good, but only if you give it the time to rebuild and, give the whole system a chance to regenerate. So therefore, I think I'll be back in Oceanside. Go back to Kraichgau, hoping that Sebi this time doesn't choose to race somewhere else. Frankfurt was pretty good.
Frankfurt was great, yeah.
I have to see your weights on who wins on Saturday. Maybe I have to go do some other Ironman somewhere in Canada or some shit like that. No, sorry. We'll see what happens there.
Well, Patrick actually said this was great, how great Jan was doing this year. He says, even though I was defending champion, everybody was picking Jan, so there was no pressure on me at all. Did you feel that people were basically saying Jan is just in another world right now? And had you done something in off season to lead to the shape you're in this year?
Yeah, train hard. It was really, it was a bit of a decisive moment. Obviously, walking along the Queen K is pretty humbling, and you have a lot of thoughts that go through your mind, and you really question as to why you are doing this. There is a very common option of just pulling left at the hotel. That wouldn't have been too bad, and could have lied at the pool for the rest of the day. But I really decided why I was doing this and found my inner reasoning, and I think that's what I carried through the whole season. That was it was a far purer motivation, and what everybody thought and said that I'm going out to get the scalps had nothing to do with it. I just simply found the love of the sport again, just going out and racing for the nerves. That horrible moment before the race when you're just it's awful, but then again you need that moment to get the very best out of yourself. And it's that really drives me, that pushes me, and that's what I carried through the entire winter. There's my coach was wondering why I wasn't debating sessions anymore. I was just like, just give me the program. I don't care what I need to do. I just want to win. And he was like, oh, okay, well, then
I could do that.
Let's do this. And previously there was a lot of debate and a lot of discussion going on, and especially after last year. A lot of doubt that I carried throughout the season. Things not going well on a personal note, and that carries everywhere. On the sporting note, I got very sick before Austria, before the validation, and it was the year when I came here and just didn't feel comfortable within my own skin, and I really knew that's it's a unique opportunity that I have to live my dream, to be a pro athlete, and it's not going to be forever.
No.
So I better stop messing around and start doing things so that I actually reach the full potential and also love it to the full potential.
So Javier Gomez is a guy you've raced a lot of times, and stole his gold medal from him in 2008, right?
He was fourth. What do you mean?
Yeah.
2 other guys. Was it me?
He went to that race going, he was already planning the parade, right? They were planning a parade for the gold medalists back in Spain.
And that was his undoing.
Exactly.
That was my biggest motivation. Somebody said that before, that they'd planned the party. And I was like, why are you planning my party? There's no way. You're not going to my party.
Hey? Exactly. They were planning a party, and they were ready for the gold medalist, Javier Gomez. And then you went out, and you had an awesome race and out-sprinted everybody. But for him, he's coming here for the first time. He's a rookie. You've been in that position, coming off ITU and then coming here. What did you learn from your rookie year that you could pass on to him? Or would you even bother passing anything on to him?
No, because I want to race him next year. No, I mean, we had a good chat about it, and he's got such a big team of people around him that know him really well and that have dialed things in with him. And I think the biggest thing that I did the first year that I'm pretty sure he's doing as well is going about it his own way. So you're not trying to emulate what Sebi's doing. You're not trying to emulate what Lionel's doing or Patrick or even I am doing. Just do your own thing, and I think that's the most important thing because it's the only way you're going to get through this race. It's generally a lonely race. The Iron War's been a few days down the line, and there's a lot of inner dialogue to get the most out of yourself. You're not really necessarily at every moment racing the next guy. You're trying to stay with the race, but also within your own means, and I think he's done that pretty well. And sounds like he's going in a good way.
The other thing, I remember when you won it for the second time in a row, you looked totally in control 2 years ago. You looked totally in control. I remember interviewing you afterwards, and you said, I was ready to drop out a dozen times. From the outside, you look totally in control, but internally, that discussion is going on, that debate is going on. How hard was that second win?
That was definitely tough. There was a lot going on, and you really wonder why they can't just put the finish line out in the energy lab. I mean, it'll be a good spot, easy access. You can go there. It's brutal, the race. And if that year didn't show me, last year showed me that there's no guarantees here. There's never a given, no matter how many people give what kind of favorite role to you. It's the beauty of this race. You have to earn it, and you have to earn it every single time. And whoever does on Saturday will be a worthy champion.
How about a round of applause for our 2-time Ironman World Champion, Mr. Leon Frodeno, Poncho Man. Take us out.
You got one thing on your mind. Breakfast with Bob.